Napoli fans around the world, welcome to Napoli Talk. Napoli drew 1-1 against Juventus in Turin, but honestly, guys, this feels like a draw. It feels like a win. It's a win that I will take. It's a win that I think is... it's not a win. It's a draw. Sorry. My head is still spinning after that game. It is a draw, but it feels like a win. It's a draw that I will take because it keeps Juventus at bay, 5 points behind Napoli. Now, we started the season really strongly, really strongly. And is the mic off? Someone is saying that the mic is off in the chat. Is that true? I don't think there's a problem with the mic. Anyways, we started off extremely well the season. We got 10 points ahead of I think the mic is fine. We went 10 points ahead of Juventus, maybe even more at some point. Guys, I get stressed out when you guys tell me the mic is having an issue or it lags, because 9 times out of 10 that is true. But it's good that you guys can hear it. By the way, I lowered the video resolution. I lowered the frame rates. I'm hoping for a very smooth stream because I was trying to keep the quality high, but maybe just maybe my computer wasn't able to handle it. So I'm hoping that this lower resolution helps in that regard. Anyways, I was saying we were about 10 points, maybe even more ahead of Juventus at one point in the season, and a lot of you guys were asking me, are we done worrying about Juventus? How's that gonna... We were 13 points, as Daniel Bowen is saying. Thank you, Daniel. We were 13 points above, and now they clawed back 8 points. We were just 5 going into this game, and it really felt like it was going to go down to 2, and then all of a sudden, you're looking behind you instead of looking above you, and, we were putting Champions League at risk, and after having started the season so well, to be just, 1 point from losing a Champions League spot would have been horrible for Napoli. Instead, we kept them at bay. We even went and scored the first goal. And the way that Juventus scored their second is, there was probably a foul on Demme, and then there was a deflection with Chiesa's shot. Maybe Ospina could have done more, but it was deflected. So it's pretty unlucky. Anthony Navarro is saying, don't use Google Chrome, man. You must have missed my comment in the last live. Mate, send me if you guys know ways to improve on lagginess on stuff, then just send me a DM. I'd be happy to learn about that sort of stuff. But let's see. Let's go back and talk about the game. There's a lot of comments in the chat right now. A lot of people have their say. I think the general consensus is that people will accept this as a good result. I posted on Twitter saying that this feels like a win, or this was the best draw ever, and it's got plenty of consensus on Twitter. So I think a lot of people would agree with that. I think a few people have said that now the Scudetto's 9 points behind, or we're 9 points behind Inter. If Inter win their game against Bologna, or if the 3-0 is confirmed against Bologna. And that's true, guys. We could possibly be 9 points behind Inter, but honestly, the minimum target this year was Champions League, and it was looking unlikely that we were gonna even keep that up a few hours ago. So let's take the positive. We will worry about Inter when the time comes. I still think that the season is super long. We need to get past this. We need to get past this period of African Cup of Nations and COVID and injuries and all these sort of things within the top 4, and then after that we'll push. But we cannot cannot allow Juventus to catch us. We cannot be gifting them these sort of things. Uncle Sharma commented, he said, so unlucky that Chiesa goal deflection. Yep, 100% agree. Daniel Bowen said, at least the VAR check was warranted on that play in the box. I want to hear that audio. The one probably you're referring to is Di Lorenzo. I think Di Lorenzo maybe got clipped. I think it would have been a very soft penalty. Not saying that, it wasn't a penalty. I'm just saying it was probably very soft, and they would have never given that to us at the Allianz Stadium or Juventus Stadium or whatever it's called nowadays. They would have never given that to us for such a light touch. No way. Even though, if it was the other way around, it would have been different. But that's the advantage of playing at home versus playing away. Anthony Navarro saying, to be honest, I think it was a pen, but I was more worried Cuadrado was going to get a pen call for Juve at some point. I'm happy with this draw. Yeah, thankfully we didn't get anything against us. We didn't give them the opportunity to get a potential penalty or anything like that. So the defense was really good. We took 4 points from Juve. Juve only has 1 versus us. Yeah, that's the other great point that Anthony brings up, is that we're done playing Juve now. And that means that if we are ever on level points, then Napoli will be on top of Juventus. So it is 5 points in the table, but it's actually as if you consider it as, let's say 5.5. Juve need to get 6 points on us in order to beat us. So important, so important. We've basically got a 2-game buffer on Juventus now, and that's huge. At this point in the season, especially with all the injuries and things that Napoli has got going on. Anthony, we're still in it, man. Look at Inter schedule until we meet Maradona, says Daniel Bowen. That's true. Nicholas Wilger is saying, as Anthony said, I'm happy with the result. No way we deserved the penalty, though. I didn't see any significant contact. I tend to agree with Nicholas on that one. I try to remain as unbiased as possible when I analyze refs and stuff like that. Obviously, at the time when I first saw Di Lorenzo go down, I was the first one to think and hope it would be a penalty. But when I review it and then I have to comment on it with you guys, I have to be honest and say if I was looking at 2 random teams playing and it wasn't Napoli, I wouldn't have given a penalty either. Yeah, I don't think that's a significant play in the game. SJ is also in the house. He says corrupt ref. Delete clip Di Lorenzo's heel in the previous AC Milan game. A pen was awarded for the same thing. Corruption again. Look, I could it be a penalty? Yes, it could be a penalty. Does it have to be a penalty? No, it does not have to be a penalty. It's not that significant of a contact. I think De Ligt gets enough of the ball. I just cannot. Maybe it's because I'm not used to getting a penalty against Juventus, but it just felt like that was never going to be it. That was like, you can't get a penalty against Juventus like that. Now, I'm not saying that it's not ever going to be a penalty. Probably if it was, let's say, Milan playing at home, or it happened on the other side for Juventus, then maybe they would have given it, because the referee feels a sort of pressure giving away these sort of calls, especially when these teams play at home. But I mean, we were never going to get it away from home at Juve, this one. But it's not really corruption. It's just it wasn't really enough. I think the ref actually had a very good game. I think the ending where Juventus had a free kick, 96th minute, it hit the wall, it went out for a corner, and the ref actually called it a game. If he was a corrupt ref, he would have played on. They would have given a corner. Instead, he did the right thing. He called the game done. We were already a minute past the time allowed, and it was kind of disgusting to see the Juventus players go around the referee for like 5 minutes protesting. I mean, in a day where you should be thanking your God that Napoli showed up with their B team. Instead, you don't manage to win the game, and you go and protest like that against the ref. Are you kidding me? I mean, what did they want? Did they want a third half or something? So it's such an entitled behavior by the players, and Dybala got a yellow card for his protest. But honestly, I have a feeling that, it deserves at least a red. I mean, Spalletti got disqualified from games for much less. So if we are saying that, disrespecting a referee deserves a red card, then what Juve did at the end there was nothing short of disrespectful. And they should be ashamed that they did that. They should be 100% ashamed. And as SJ is saying, they should have all been booked. So I think the ref, I don't think there was any corruption. I think he stood his ground relatively well. Yeah, I mean, the penalty is one of those 50-50, but I don't think there is any sort of corruption in a sense. I never believed in the, after... In recent years, I haven't really seen anything that, since maybe the whole Pjanic situation. Ever since that, I haven't really seen anything that suggests that something's corrupt necessarily. I've always just felt that the refs maybe were getting intimidated by some players. They were getting intimidated by playing in some stadiums. And obviously they're human. And if you're sitting in front of 60,000 people and you've got Bonucci and Chiellini on you shouting in your ear and you're a young ref, you could be influenced. But I never thought there was any corruption in the last 3 or 4 years, apart from that, ever since that Pjanic thing. And if refs make mistakes, I honestly just think that it's because they made a mistake. So I'm not going to entertain that theory, to be honest. I've seen enough things go against every team in the last few years to suggest that there's no bias, no agenda, let's call it like that. There's no agenda. Sometimes you get a good call, but I don't think there's an agenda. I think it's more to do with how influenced humans can be in general. SJ saying, at least this confirms with all our injuries and COVID stuck players away from home with a non-existing bench, Juve still can't beat us. Let's see. Let's get some more people's comments. David Scarda is saying Mertens was world class today. I mean, Mertens had 2 chances and he took one of them. I mean, the goal that he did was phenomenal. It was a great goal. Not only did he beat Szczesny, but he beat a defender on the line as well. And that's what you want from your striker. You're only really going to get against a team like Juventus, you're going to get 2.5 chances, 1.5, and that's what Mertens got today. And the job of a striker is then to go ahead and score, and that's exactly what he did. And, we'll go over everyone's performance, but Mertens definitely man of the match for me. Very crucial goal, and I really do hope he renews. Deep in my heart, my heart is on this side. Deep in my heart, I really hope that Mertens renews more than I hoped Insigne would, to be honest. I think Mertens is more of a game changer than Insigne. I know that Insigne was involved in the goal, but I mean, if you just analyze effectiveness, so Insigne is involved in like 10 chances and you'll get a goal out of 1 or 2 of them. Mertens is involved in 10 chances, you'll get 5 goals out of them. So for me, I feel like if you're going to invest, I'm not going to use that word. I'm not going to use invest. If you're going to, if you have to choose between the two, then I would choose Mertens. The other thing about Insigne, the reason why I don't want to use the word invest with Insigne is because I'm planning to make a video on it, and in that video I'm going to analyze the situation, the decision making behind Insigne's lack of renewal on behalf of Napoli, and how we chose to view Insigne as a cost rather than an investment. A potential new signing is an investment more than a cost. I mean, I know you have to still put out 30-40 million for someone and pay them a salary as well. But I feel like Napoli's thinking, okay, we'll do that, but it's an investment. We might get more money out of it in 5 years' time. Whereas when you renew Insigne and he's turning 31, that's no longer an investment. That's just a cost to you. So I feel like Napoli had that sort of thought process when they offered him a low salary. And so, yeah, I'm just very wary about using that word because I want to go deeper into that topic when I review the whole Insigne situation. AT is saying, overall, good performance for the team. Could have won it if the ref gave us the pen. But, yeah, I mean, we talked about that. Sport TV 24 team are saying, Gulam, Mario Rui, choose one. Mario Rui, this season, obviously, I mean, Gulam's had one game. He had a really good game today, considering he's not played a lot. I think Gulam is a great leader, but Mario Rui is, he's able to play every single game. I'm not sure about Gulam's fitness. However, prime Gulam is much better than prime Mario Rui. I mean, prime Gulam is one of the best left backs I've ever seen. He was easily top 5 left backs in Europe before his injury back in 2017 now, 4 years ago against Manchester City. It really ruined his career. But he was easily one of the best. Mario Rui has never got into those levels. He's had a massive improvement though this year. Paolo Yannicello saying, guys, if Lazio beats Inter and Milan, if Lazio beats Inter, bruh, that happened once. What are the odds that happens again? But you never know. Inzaghi might have a weak spot for Lazio. Anyways, guys, if Lazio beats Inter and Milan drop points versus Venezia and we win, it's a new ball game. You can say Milan won't drop points, but Venezia isn't a bad team and they're playing at home. Yeah, Venezia's not a bad team. I just think that Milan, if they were going to drop points, it should have been against Roma today. Roma had a relatively good squad. Milan, a bit of a depleted squad, a bit like Napoli, not to the same extent. And so you'd think, all right, they're playing against a good team, few players missing. If there's one time where they drop points, it's today. Instead, what happens? They end up winning 3-1. So it's not even a loss or a draw, but they won the game and convincingly won the game. So, I mean, I didn't see it, but the result says it's convincing. I didn't see it because I was doing the preview with you guys. The referee favored them the whole match, and they find a way to protest at the end, says Jusonic Multiverse. Like you say, Spalletti had a red card for less than that. Someone with a Russian username commented something. I have no idea what he said. So English, bro. Let's see what else. Let's go to the newer comments. I saw something about Zanoli, but I lost the comment. Anyways, Anthony saying Chiro will renew for 2.5 million with 1.5 bonuses. I honestly think that's a fair offer, and I think that's an offer that Mertens himself will accept. I think Mertens is not really looking at money. I think Mertens right now is looking at potentially playing time. He said it recently that he wants to play and just wanting to be in a place that he feels like home. That's why it feels like Mertens, if he doesn't renew for Napoli, he might go back to PSV, which is obviously it's not home for him, but it's a place that he's played before, and so he will feel at home. I mean, Mertens is at a point in his life where he's starting a family this year. I think he just wants to be in a place that he understands, that he knows, and he can settle down. He sees Napoli like that. He might see, PSV Eindhoven as the other option. But I do really think that his preference is Napoli. It's not like PSV are going to offer him 5 million. They're going to offer him a very similar thing that Napoli would offer. So I do think he might just end up staying at Napoli. Even if he does leave Napoli, I honestly do think that Mertens will come back and be some sort of ambassador for Napoli. We're missing that sort of figure. I spoke about it last year, how all the teams have some sort of figure. Maldini for Milan, Zanetti for Inter, Nedved for Juve. Napoli doesn't really have that. We don't have an ex-player that's a figure in the club. I do think that Mertens is the type of guy that could do that. He knows the club inside out, knows the city, is loved by everyone, and yeah, I think Mertens is. I hope Mertens stays. I hope he stays. But we never know. We never know. Gulam reading the game. Well, excellent defending, says Sport TV 2014. Yeah, Gulam was really good. I really, really liked it. Guys, make sure you are smashing the like button. There's 52 of you and only 33 likes. If you look down on the bottom right, it says 1 like or sub equals 1 cent to a charity that I'm supporting. A charity made by Fabio Cannavaro and Ciro Ferrara, 2 ex-Napoli players. World Cup winner Fabio Cannavaro. In the last 3 months alone, I raised about 50 euros just through your likes and subscribers that I made over the last 3 months. So yeah, I mean, this charity like helps out kids in Naples. You know, they buy ambulances for newborn babies, all these sort of things. They help like people through sport. You know, get out of the street. So yeah, it's just a cool way to, you know, get the channel growing, but also give back to the community, because at the end of the day, why not? You know, there's no reason for it apart from it's the right thing to do. You know, there's so many kids out there that are less fortunate, so you know, let's go help them out. There's a link to the charity in the comments, but in the description of the video, I think. If not, I'll start adding it to each video. What are your thoughts on Insigne still being our captain, says Pranav Jain? I expected Insigne to still be captain today. I talked about it in the preview how I wouldn't be surprised if he lost the captain's armband, but I think that because it's not been official yet that Insigne is leaving, then I don't think they would have done it. I think if they are to take the captain's armband away from him, it has to be done with like a formal press conference beforehand. But then again, it's one of those things that the changing room also decides, like the players in the changing room decides. If players like Dries Mertens are happy with him still being captain, then fair enough. Personally though, and I said it on Twitter, personally though, I do feel like the real captain now is Dries Mertens. You know, and it will be Koulibaly when he comes back. I think players look at him, they look at Zielinski, they look at Di Lorenzo as people to look up to. It's very hard to look up to someone who's leaving in 6 months, and if they keep the armband on Insigne, it's really just to avoid more drama. I think Napoli are trying very hard to avoid drama. Giuseppe Serrao saying, if Gulam goes back to who he was before his injuries, with him and Giovanni Di Lorenzo, we would have the 2 best side defenders in the league. Yeah, Gulam going back to that level would be huge for Napoli's chances. That 10 you gave to Lobo changed his mindset. Very decent player right now, says Paul Vives Escobar. Yeah, when I gave that 10 to him and Malquit, it changed their career, changed their lives, and yeah, it's Lobotka's playing really well. I saw him live against Spezia a few days ago, 2 weeks ago, and you know, when you go watch the game live, you see the movements of the players that the camera, when you're watching it on TV, the camera doesn't pick up because it's always focused on the ball and not on what everybody else is doing. And I really like the movement that Lobotka brings. He's always looking around, his head's always moving, observing, scanning the field. You know, it's what top players like Xavi and Iniesta, you know, used to do at Barcelona. Lobotka is like a little version of that. And yeah, he's been great this season, honestly. But since preseason, he's been totally different compared to before. Giuseppe is saying, I really like the performance of our midfield. Diego and Lobo were absolutely dominating. Yeah, I did. I'm gonna go to my player ratings now before the analysis. So this is the player ratings that I have. But here's the thing, guys. Today, Napoli as a collective, as a unit, was better than the individual performances put together. I hope that makes sense. So you're seeing a lot of 6.5s on this field, which means a performance slightly above average, because average is a 6. This is slightly above average. That does not mean that the overall performance was just slightly above average. As a package, as a unit, I felt that we were at least a 7, 7.5, maybe an 8, considering everything that happened before the game, the injuries, the COVID, the guys being in AFCON, people not knowing if they were going to play. We didn't know if we were going to play with masks. We didn't know who was available to play. A lot of stuff happened, and then to come on and play that way against Juventus is massive. So collectively, Napoli played much better than a 6.5, which is the average rating in this team. I just feel that individually, very few people went above 6.5. First off, let me say thank you to Football is Life for the $1.99 donation. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Inter next match is tough. Lazio and Atalanta away. Yeah, Inter has a very hard schedule. The issue is if they get points in these games, if they beat Lazio, if they beat Atalanta, then who's going to stop them? But yeah, let's hope that someone stops them. Let's hope they lose against Lazio, maybe get a draw against Atalanta, and then we see it, and then we have to do our thing. Here's why. So ID Beats is saying, what? Juan Jesus was pretty good though. I'd give Giovanni Di Lorenzo a 7. I get that they were pretty good. I get it. And I was debating this so hard, right? I was debating giving everyone half a point higher, right? So I was like, yeah, probably Gulam, Di Lorenzo, Juan Jesus, they might deserve a 7, but then it would mean that Dries Mertens deserves a 7.5 because he stood out with that goal. But did he really do enough to get a 7.5 with that one goal? I mean, it was a very nice goal, but it was really just that. I mean, that's what strikers are there to do. They're to score one goal. But I've given 7.5s before to players that have scored 2 goals, players that have scored, I just feel like this is the right level. And if you go on and maybe my rating system is a bit different from what you might have, but if you go, the rating system in Italy is like really strict. If you go on the newspapers in Italy, this is roughly what you'll see. Whereas maybe if you go to maybe like an American or UK rating, it might be different, like a 6.5. I mean, like when you're in school, a 6.5 out of 10, if you're in America, is like what, a C minus or like a D plus or whatever you guys use for like a 6 out of 10. But in Italy, like a 6.5 is like a B, which is not bad, or like a B plus. It's like you're above the average. Like getting anything above an 8 is almost impossible. Like for Mertens to get an 8, he would have needed 2 goals, maybe even an assist to get an 8.5, something like that. It's very, very, very rare. Daniel Bowen with another donation today. Daniel, thank you so much for supporting the channel. Please cover the schedule for Inter and Napoli in total until we meet. Okay, we will do that for your request in 5-10 minutes when we're done talking about the formation and the analysis of the game. Anyways, I was saying, why did I not give Juan Jesus, for example, a higher number, even though we kept, only conceded 1 goal? I still felt like, even though it was under control, I still felt like, McKinney had a few chances. There was a chance at the very end with a header that Rahmani and Di Lorenzo, they sandwiched. I can't remember who it was, but he still managed to get a header on. Maybe it was McKinney or maybe it was Keane. It was Keane. Keane managed to get the better of them. Ospina got called into action a few times. So I feel like even though the defense did well, it's not like they kept it 100% sealed. I thought maybe Juventus, with a bit more accuracy in their shots, maybe would have scored an extra goal. So, I can't say that they were impeccable today. Ospina as well, made some good saves, but a lot of them were not that hard. And then I think that on the goal that we conceded, he could have done a bit better. The midfield did okay, but I don't think that the Juve midfield was that good. So, it's easy to look good in front of people that allow you to have time on the ball. Politano was really the only, and I think Daniel Bowen mentioned this before, Politano is really the only liability today. He essentially, he's trying, he's putting in the effort, but it's just, I don't know if he's too predictable or he's just not getting, he's lacking creativity. You always feel like you know what you're going to get from Politano, and maybe that he takes a touch a bit too much. There's something wrong with our wingers with Spalletti this season. Lozano, Politano, even Insigne has not been playing too well. And even Elmas, Elmas, okay, he scored. So guys, I want to speak a bit about Elmas, and we'll see it in the analysis later. Like, he scored a few goals this season, which is great. But if you take a look at some of his movement, you can still see some mistakes in the movement that he's doing. And, people don't often pick that up. So then he'll do like some nice skill and people will be like, oh, he's great. But then he's making mistakes, like fundamental mistakes regarding movement a few times. And we'll go over that in a bit. So yeah, the wingers need to do a bit better this year. Carl Romero saying, hey Dom, huge to pick up points in Turin. Agree, even if the result is less than ideal. Do you think we'll still guarantee Champions League football next year, as you were saying earlier in the season? I think our only rival right now is Juventus for Champions League football. I think that Roma are too far behind and they're unstable. I don't think that. I'm just not worried about Roma and Lazio. I felt like with Juve, 13 points was enough. They've clawed back 8, and we're on 5. But as I said, we've got advantage over the 2 games against them. So it's as if it was a 5.5, which means, we'd have to lose 2 games and Juve have to win both. I think if we can keep a good... if we can get past the situation of COVID and AFCON and still be within 4 or 5 points ahead of Juve, even 3 points ahead of Juve, then I think we've got it in the bag. Once Koulibaly and Anguissa come back, I think we'll be good, and obviously Osimhen as well. So let me go into the analysis, guys, because it is quite interesting. It is quite interesting today, and then we'll go over the schedules that we have. So here's the analysis of the game, guys. It starts off with Juventus being on the front foot. They get an early corner, and McKinney gets his head on the ball, and it goes just wide. And here I am thinking, we've got issues defending set pieces. It is something that we've got to look at. Everybody, if you can see in the picture, everyone is planted looking at the ball, and then we leave McKinney in a lot of space to try to score, but he luckily doesn't. So that's something we do need to work on. Then, throughout the first half, Juventus were hitting us on the counter-attack with Chiesa. Chiesa basically running through the middle. One thing that Napoli did really well was that they backed off to the right point, not too much, not too little, allowed them to come back in towards Chiesa's area, and then sort of push Chiesa to make a pass to the left. And on the left, you would have, depending on the situation, you would have different players, but none of them were dangerous. It was always angled shots. What we did really well was not allow Chiesa to go down the middle and get a shot away. It was very good by Demme to come back every time and try to prevent Chiesa from doing that. But, this did happen a lot of times. I'm not going to bring up every single counterattack that Juventus did, but there was a lot of counterattacks. I think we could have done better not giving those counterattacks away, but Di Lorenzo and stuff did really well to defend them once they did happen, which is good. But here's the key. Here's why Napoli scored the goal. So you can see here something. So Napoli scored in the 23rd minute of the game, and this is something that I started noticing around the 10th minute, that Juventus were giving Mertens. Juventus were giving Demme a lot of time on the ball, but not just Demme, anyone down the middle. So Juventus would sit back and we would have so much time and space on the ball. It was absolutely ridiculous. I've never seen something like that. I've never seen a team with a name like Juventus sit so far deep and give a player like Demme 10-20 meters of space. I just could not believe what I was seeing. Obviously, Juventus were trying to do this to not give Napoli the space to play the ball in behind them. But honestly, I don't comprehend this, because it's not like we had a player like Osimhen playing that needed space. I mean, we had little guys like Insigne and Mertens who could play in tight spaces. So I didn't understand this idea from Juventus at all. So this was a key thing of why Napoli won, and we'll see it in how it was the case also for Napoli's goal. So, but first, let's go on to some other situations. Here's more examples so that you guys realize that it's not a one-off. I like to prove my point with several examples. So that was 3 minutes ago, and this is on the 14th minute. Again, a lot of space centrally for Demme. Not just Demme was getting space, Insigne was getting space, Zielinski was getting space, and it allowed Napoli to take a lot of shots down the middle. This was one from Insigne, for example. But this is the goal, 22nd minute. This is the position that Demme recovers the ball, or not recovers, but this is where he receives the ball. Look how far deep into our own half he is. Literally in the middle of our half. And then look at how much space he's given. And then look how far he advances. This is a few seconds later. He's still running with the ball. No one's closing him down. He's literally just made maybe 20 meters. Literally like a third of the field just carrying the ball. And no one came to close him down. It allowed Napoli to bring everybody forward. Again, no one around Demme, no one around anyone of the Napoli players. Demme is able to play the ball to Juan Jesus, who then plays it to Insigne. And Juan Jesus and Rahmani were super high up, because obviously Juventus were super deep, so even the central defenders could come all the way up, and then we could find these triangles, we could make these geometries and get the ball easily to Insigne. And look, Insigne, there's no pressure on Insigne when he receives the ball. Literally no pressure. He can control it, figure out what he needs to do, and then look at how far deep he goes in before he makes the pass towards Politano, who makes a good run, running in behind the Juventus defender, behind Alexandro. But, I mean, just take a look at how much space Insigne, or how much ground Insigne covered, and still no one is anywhere near Insigne. It is absolutely insane to give a player of Insigne's quality this much time on the ball. And, the interesting thing about this is that the three players that Juventus have that are closest to Insigne, I mean, when you play like this, it just makes no sense. They're useless. I mean, at least one of them could go and attack Insigne or get closer maybe to where Gulam is or to them. I just don't understand their position. And they're literally marking nobody. It's as if Juventus don't have a midfield at this point. But anyways, the ball goes to Politano, and then he cuts it back to Mertens. And again, Mertens has so much space. Literally, Juventus were not pressing at all on Napoli. They have so much space, and Mertens is able to control the ball and pick out the right shot. And obviously it's a very difficult shot. He has to go through literally half the Juventus team in order for this to go in. The goalkeeper, the defender, the goalkeeper, the other defender on the line. But I mean, he has the time and space to pick out his corner, and it's incredible just how much space we were given. And that's something that we didn't see of in the second half. I'd have to say Domenico is the Giovanni Di Lorenzo of Napoli fans, as Anthony Navarro. I think that's the best compliment I have ever received in my life. Nicholas Wilger saying, Juve fans fuming. Blue Line saying, the problem is that there's a few shots on target, although the empty space outside the box. That's true. I mean, there was a lot of blocks as well. You do think that if, for example, Fabian was playing today with his shooting ability instead of, for example, Demme, or instead of maybe Lobotka, but if Fabian was in the middle, I think he would have had a goal. This is the classic game where Fabian would score, because he's got incredible ability when you give him space. Ebbe C. Jordovic is saying, I think Allegri wanted to stop Napoli from combining through Juve's defense. Yes, that's possibly what Allegri wanted, but honestly, we saw that didn't work either, because when Insigne went central and Politano as well, not Politano, but when Zielinski moved alongside Mertens, we saw the combinations. We saw some really good combinations in between the lines in the first half. So literally nothing of what Juve was doing in defense was working in the first half. With a bit more accuracy, Napoli would have had a few more goals. Seems as if the teams are content to sit back and allow us to pass around the box while Victor are out. I'm at loss to think of what I'd do if I were Spalletti. Your thoughts, Dom? I think that actually, the way we approached this game in the first half was good. Getting in between the lines, making sure that when they do give us space, we go and exploit it. In the second half, it was a bit different. Juventus put in a bit more pressure. I think Allegri told them, like, hey guys, like what are you doing here? Yeah. And again, this was a shot by Zielinski. Again, he had a lot of space to take on the shot. I mean, you see like Rabiot's quite close to him now, but think that the ball's already left Zielinski's foot. He's already had time to like set everything up. So you can imagine how much space he had when he first received the ball. And this is a situation where Napoli should have put the game to bed, okay? This is one of the few counterattacks that Napoli had, and we didn't exploit it. So Insigne is running with the ball, okay? And this is where I say, look, Insigne is a good player. We saw he made a great pass to Politano before. I've written beautiful words about Insigne, and those of you that follow me on Twitter and Instagram have seen them. So do not call me an Insigne hater. However, a player that wants to earn 5 million euros a year, that's his request, and is now going to Canada for 11 million plus 4 million in bonuses, so 14, 15, 16 million euros a year, needs to know how to use his left foot. He absolutely needs to know how to use his left foot. Insigne is an incomplete player. He's a good player, one of the most gifted right foot I have ever seen, but has zero left foot. Now, you can afford to be one-footed if your name is Lionel Messi. If your name is not Lionel Messi, then please use your left foot as well. You need it. Insigne here needed to pass the ball to Dries Mertens. Needed to. Instead, what does he do? He slows the game down just so he can get back on his right foot. And then the opportunity is gone. Once you slow the game down, Cuadrado has time to cut back on Dries Mertens. The last defender stops his run, so Mertens can't continue, otherwise he'll be offside. But if Insigne kept insisting, everybody would have had to fall back. So he just lost his momentum there. Now, he's lucky that Demme was coming around and he could pass the ball to Demme. And Demme actually gets a good free kick out of it. He controls the ball and then gets fouled. But it's a really bad decision. Very, very poor decision making by Insigne there. So, yeah, I don't want you guys to think I'm an Insigne hater. But when De Laurentiis says, listen, I'm offering you 3.5 million, I think that's what he's worth. Honestly, I think that's what he's worth. I mean, I'll go into this in more detail in a video, but we see this time and time again from Insigne, and it's something I've said before. You give him 10 chances, he'll take 2 of them, and then the 2 that he'll take will be absolutely amazing, but, he'll waste 8 chances. For me, this is one of those that he wastes. So Nikola Jokic is saying the guy doesn't even use his left foot when he is entering to take a bath. Yeah. I mean, guys, can you imagine, like, Mohamed Salah or Sadio Mane stopping in the middle of a counterattack like that? Or Chiesa or something. I mean, you see how these guys are super direct. I don't know. This guy won at life, to be honest. To get paid 15 million when I think you're not a complete player is a big achievement. So congrats to Lorenzo Insigne for scamming Toronto, honestly. I'm sure he'll do amazing there. But yeah. Anyways, this is how Juventus score a goal. There is possibly a foul on Demme. Now, when I first saw the incident, I thought, yeah, that's definitely a foul. I thought there was maybe an arm to the face. But then if you look at this image here, you actually see the arm is next to Demme's shoulder and not on his face. So maybe not a foul. And yeah, I mean, I would have given a foul, to be honest. If I was the ref, I would have given a foul. I think the reason why it didn't get called for VAR is because there's no contact to his face. Insigne is the right-footed Robin. Yeah, maybe if Robin had a brother who isn't as good as Arjen Robin, because honestly, Insigne, as I said, you can be a one-footed player if your name is Lionel Messi or Arjen Robin, but I mean, if that's not his level. That's not his level. He needs to use his left foot. Ben Payne, my man, is in the house. Forza Napoli. Ben Payne is saying no foul. If Ben Payne says no foul, then it's no foul. That's what I was saying. I wrote foul in there, but when I really look at this, there's no contact to the face, so I can understand why. I can understand why the ref played on. And Cuadrado made a good run. We were talking in the preview how good Cuadrado is. He's still making these runs. And Napoli kind of get caught out of position here. Yeah, I mean, what's crazy is that this whole thing started, or it didn't start, but it was evolving into a 6v2 situation for Napoli, where, we got the guy on the ball covered. We've got Morata covered with Rahmani. We've got the far post covered Di Lorenzo. And then we've got 3 midfielders all in support. Now, this is where players need to start thinking a little bit more as a unit rather than individually. So individually, your brain is telling you there's a bit of a space right behind Morata. Let me go and fill that position. The problem is when all 3 brains individually think the same thing and then they all go in that space, leaving themselves uncovered behind them. So that's what happens when the ball's played in. They all get dragged in, like 3 players get dragged in towards Morata, and no one stays at the edge of the box. I mean, I can applaud their effort to try to get all the way back. I understand what they're trying to do. I really do. And, as I said, I applaud them wanting to go that extra 5 meters to support the play. But sometimes you've got to think as a unit. You've got to think there's three of us here, and there's probably a Juventus player behind me. I should probably not give him 5 meters of space in case the ball goes over me. They weren't thinking as a unit, and that's the result. Lobotka tries to step in. He steps in a bit late, gets to the ball, but ultimately it's just a deflection, and that's the deflection that beats Ospina. Maybe Ospina could have done more, but it's annoying. It's annoying because I think if we were a little bit more switched on and thinking more of a unit and not ball watching, then this could have been avoided. The problem is that when you start ball watching, you think as an individual instead of understanding where you are in the field compared to your teammates and your opponent. So that's how Juventus scored, and that was the issue with the goal. Because remember, guys, there's always an issue when you concede a goal. 99% of the time. So this was it. This was the issue with Napoli's goal. If you are liking this video, guys, go ahead and do smash that like button, because you can only get these analysis on Napoli Talk. Not even Sky is able to use the power of MS Paint to analyze football games. They use all that fancy equipment, but not Napoli Talk. We use MS Paint to teach football. Anyways, Juventus, once they had that goal, they got the momentum back. They had a few shots. Ospina made a save, then it went to Quadrado, or is that McKinney? Either one. I think that's McKinney. So hard to tell with these pixelated images. It's got like the same haircut, and from the top view, it's one of them. I think it's McKinney. You guys will notice that in my lives, I will barely say the name of the other team's player, because I literally cannot tell them apart when the image is so pixelated, and I'm seeing it through a screen which is like really tiny. I'm not sure what like screen you guys have watching this, but like my screen is not like, I'm seeing it in like a little window in a browser, so I literally cannot tell who that is. So you guys tell me. Also, my desk is shaking, so I don't know if there's like an earthquake going on or something, but the live goes on even with earthquakes. Yo guys, there's literally an earthquake going on. Like I mean, I wish I could like show you guys, like, okay, the water isn't filled, but there's water shaking in this bottle. Anyways, as I said, the video goes on even with earthquakes. That's pretty strong, actually. Damn. I'm pretty sure this is an earthquake. Yeah, okay. Anyways, it's kind of distracting. I mean, if the earth could just stop moving right now. I'm trying to teach football. Anyways, so this is then Dries Mertens in the second half getting a shot on goal. I mean, as I said before, right? We've got Dries Mertens, who this time, he takes a shot on his left foot, and it shows the difference between a player like him, who's able to say, right, my best chance is getting a shot off with my left, and a player like Lorenzo Insigne, who in this case would have not taken on a shot. Now, okay, Mertens didn't score, but it was a good effort. The goalkeeper saved it. It went wide. Once he saved it, it got deflected towards the corner flag. But, it could have been deflected anywhere else for a Napoli player. That's what happens when you take a shot. Whereas, a player like Insigne would have slowed the game, passed it all the way backwards, stuff like that. Mertens had the shot. And then this is how we... SJ saying, earthquake in the UK, doubt it. Petagna just probably fell over. That's pretty good. I actually confirmed it's your mom that fell over. No, seriously, guys, there there was an earthquake. Like, I literally felt it. Like, I could see the water moving. Like, it was shaking in the bottle. So unless someone's got, like, I don't know, the biggest, I don't know, washing machine going on next to me or something like that in the apartment above or below, then there was a few seconds of an earthquake. So, yeah. But trust me, guys. Trust me on that. I didn't mean to offend your mom. So immature. I just love your mom jokes. I mean, you guys will notice every once in a while I will drop a your mom joke. I just have not grown up from being 12. So yeah. Anyways, hope your mothers are all okay. They're all good. Anyways, yeah. Gulam. Why am I saying Gulam? Because his name's up there. Anyways, so this is how Napoli set up in the second half. We basically use so if I were to describe this formation, it would be a 2-3-4-1. 2 as in the two center backs, Rahmani, Juan Jesus. They will be around the halfway line. Then we have one of the fullbacks, usually Di Lorenzo, who goes up to the two holding midfielders. So you've got the two holding midfielders, Di Lorenzo joins them, so you've got 3 in midfield. And then you've got one of the fullbacks, so in this case Gulam, goes all the way up to the same line as Insigne. Insigne cuts into the middle. Zielinski goes up alongside Insigne, and Politano is over there on the right. So you've got basically like, just imagine a line connecting Gulam, Insigne, Zielinski, Politano running across that field. So we've got 2, 3, 4, and then Mertens up top. And this is how we played in the second half. We tried to play the ball around between Lobotka, Demme, Di Lorenzo, Gulam, and Politano, like an arc shape. And then try to find Insigne and Zielinski in between the lines. And then the whole point was that once you get the ball in between the lines, then you could link up with Dries Mertens and try to do something. We did find it a bit harder in the second half to be effective on the ball because defensively Juventus were much better. We saw that in the first half. They gave us a lot of time on the ball, but also they weren't defending very well, the spaces behind them, whereas in the second half, they were blocking the line of passages towards Insigne and Zielinski much better. So for example, you see Lobotka with the ball, right? He's forced to give the ball to Demme because if he tried going towards Insigne or to Zielinski, you've got 2 Juventus players blocking that pass in front of him. So he has to go to Demme. So we were forced to play very horizontal instead of vertical. So Juventus were set up much, much better in the second half. In the first half, it wasn't really like that. In the first half, we could find a bit more spaces in between. So, yeah. Let's see. When is Ossi coming back, says Tariq BK. I think maybe in about... Well, first off, he's got COVID, so whenever he comes back from Italy, then he'll have a check with the doctor, but we don't know when he's going to get a negative result for the COVID test and what the doctor will say. Shout out to the Napoli doctor, the staff team. I had a visit with them over the winter period, actually, because I think some of you guys know I've got a bit of an issue with my knee, and I got to speak to the Napoli doctors, and great guys, it's so funny. Since I live in near London, they said that they'll get in contact with Jorginho, and Jorginho is gonna get in contact with his like physiotherapist and stuff like that to help with my knee thing. So I'm counting on Jorginho in order to do my recovery, which is pretty cool. So, yeah, my boy Jorginho, miss him. Anyways, enough about my knee. But let's see. What are the other comments about... SJ saying, after that violation, I may have to join Toronto Talk from now on. I swear, if someone makes a YouTube called Toronto Talk, then I want to be invited there every single. I don't know why I call it Toronto. Like I'm in Italy. Toronto is the proper way to pronounce it in English. Toronto. If someone does make a Toronto Talk, I want to be invited every single weekend just so I can keep up with Insigne and rant about how one-footed he is and how he doesn't love us anymore. Sad times. Anyways, so yeah, that's how we played in the second half. And then this is something that I wanted to bring up, right? I talked about Elmas and how I think tactically he's still not quite ready. So obviously on the ball, he's super talented, and that's what most people will see, right? You tend to judge players just when they're on the ball. But let's look at an example of, we saw that, we saw how often Napoli throughout the game, when Ospina had the ball, they try to play vertical towards Mertens, right? I think a lot of you must have realized that in the game and remember situations like this where we played vertical, right? Now, when you play a vertical pass like that and it goes to the main man, the striker, whether he, if the ball's coming to him on his head, what that striker needs to do is that he needs to flick it on behind him, okay? When he flicks that ball on behind him, the people on the side need to make the run in behind him, right? You flick the ball, there needs to be people making a run already. As soon as the ball is played, before the guy flicks it, the guys on the side already need to be making a run. Same thing when the ball's played to the feet, In this case, it's played down low because Mertens is short. When Ospina plays the ball, Elmas needs to already be making the run as like a sort of half moon shape to get around, in this case it's the Shio, get around the Shio and get in behind Mertens so that Mertens can play the pass. So it needs to be like that, like the arrow that I just shown. You need to be making that run so that the ball can be flicked on. And we see that Mertens actually puts the ball in that area, but Elmas is sleeping, so the Shio gets the ball. But so you might be asking, why isn't Elmas already in that position to start with? Well, Elmas needs to be wide in order to create the gap in the first place. There needs to be a gap between the center back and the full back. That's why you stay wide. But then you need to pick the right time to get in between them. And that time is not when the ball is already traveling towards Mertens. As soon as Ospina hits that ball, you need to go. It's that simple. Ospina touches the ball as it's traveling. Boom, Elmas, make the run. And instead we see that the ball's already almost reached Mertens, and Elmas is still in his wide position. He's not got that reactivity, and yet he's fresh, right? So this is what I'm saying. Like there's little tactical things that Elmas still isn't doing quite so well. And a lot of people they will think nothing of this. In fact, they will think, oh, Mertens screwed up his pass to Elmas. No, Mertens made a good pass to the right area, but Elmas was not in the right area. And a lot of people, when they consider Elmas's performance, they will not consider these sort of aspects. But these are the aspects that a coach will be looking at. So when we think, oh, why hasn't Elmas been getting the minutes that we all think he deserves? It's, well, maybe there's these little aspects to his game which he still needs improving on. Yeah, guys, football is about picking the right time to make movements. Elmas here didn't do that correctly. So I think that wraps up the tactical analysis and the key points of this game. Guys, let me know if you guys like this stuff. Give me some feedback on this stuff if you enjoy it, if you find it interesting. I hope it's stuff that you guys find interesting. Let's see some of the comments. Giovanni Di Lorenzo got a restraining order against me, and you out here helping Jorginho with his penalties. Oh man, I wish I could take some penalties with Jorginho. Unfortunately, I'm not in direct contact with Jorginho. It's the doctor is in contact with Jorginho. Jorginho will then will figure out who I need to go and see in order to get this thing fixed, and then feed that back to the doctor, who then will tell me, like, please go see so-and-so person. I tried to get Jorginho's number, and the guy was like, no way. One day. And to be fair, he said he was down to, he also said that he was down to be interviewed at Napoli Talk, but he needs permission from Napoli. So they need to give my channel to the head of marketing or whatever of Napoli. They need to verify that, you know, we're not, you know, I don't know, talking bad about them or whatever. I don't know what they need to check. And then after that, maybe I can get an interview with him. But yeah, that would be dope if we could talk about like sports medicine, sports science, all that stuff. We probably can't talk about anything too Napoli related, like, you know, the specific player injuries like Osimhen and stuff like that. But we can talk about sports science, recovery, prevention, all that stuff with someone that's dealing with, you know, the Napoli players directly. So that would be really cool. That's something I'm looking forward to. But, you know, no promises, just something that's potentially later on down in the pipelines. We'll see how that goes. I also don't want to disturb this guy too much. You know, he's a doctor, has like a serious job. So we got to pick the right time. Maybe I'll do it in the off season. So yeah, guys, that's the tactical analysis, and these are the next games. So Daniel Bowen wanted a breakdown of the next games. You've got, I've already had these lined up before the stream started, but he wanted to see also what Inter had. So let me now go and take a screenshot of the next few games that Inter have, and after that we will compare. So let me go and take a screenshot and add Inter to the screen. So give me literally a few seconds for me to do that. Bear with me, guys. So un secondo. 1 second. Let me add Inter to this because Daniel Bowen requested it and I need it to show you guys. So let me put Inter schedule there. Let me move these across. Okay, you can kind of tell where I'm going with this. It's not perfect, guys, but bear with me. This is not gonna look pretty, but we are live, and so I can't really spend time making it look pretty. So on the left is Napoli schedule. On the right, it's Inter's, and this is kind of what we have until we play each other. I think in the Napoli schedule, we are missing one game until the Inter one. So it says Salernitana there. After that, it's Venezia, Napoli, and then it's Napoli, Inter. So when there's Inter Milan, we have Venezia, Napoli, okay? Because I put only the next 4 games, and we've got 5 games until Inter. So anyways, Inter play Lazio. Then they have the Super Cup against Juventus, which I think is still going to go on. I mean, I can't imagine it will be cancelled after they didn't cancel Juve Napoli. So they've got Lazio, Juventus, Atalanta, Empoli, which we know is a very, very tough opponent. Venezia, we've also got Venezia the week after, and they've got Milan. So they've got extremely difficult few games. I mean, they literally play everyone in the top half of the table, except Venezia. I mean, the top 8 teams, I mean, even Empoli, right? Empoli are 9th. So they play a team in 8th place, a team in 9th place, a team in 5th place, a team in 4th place, a team in 2nd place, and Venezia. Obviously, Empoli is Coppa Italia, so it doesn't really count towards the Serie A. But it's one of those games that Inter will want to play to their full potential, and they will put a competitive squad, because obviously Empoli will as well. A Coppa Italia for Empoli would be huge, so it's the only tournament they're going for, so they're going to put their full squad, and they made it very difficult for us in previous years, Empoli in the Coppa Italia. And Inter, they haven't won the Coppa Italia in a long, long time. They'll, after winning the Serie A, they'll want to add this trophy to their cabinet. So I'm pretty sure it will be 2 teams going at full strength. And yeah, I mean, it's hard to say where teams will drop points because it's the Serie A. But I can imagine Napoli doing well against Sampdoria. I have no idea if we will prioritize the Coppa Italia. Probably not. My impression is I'd be okay with Napoli sacrificing the Coppa Italia. We kind of need a break. And so I was going to suggest put on the reserves against Fiorentina. I mean, we literally don't have reserves to play. But maybe play at a lower intensity, save some energy, because we then got a game against Bologna away from home, which is very, very tricky. And I do think that in that game, when we play against Bologna on that Sunday, Inter will play Atalanta. It's super important that we win against Bologna, because Atalanta and Inter will drop points in that week. So massive day, the 16th of January. Maybe one of the most important. Obviously, then we've got a very, 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 very important game on the 13th of February against Inter. That's when we will know in about a month's time what is Napoli doing this year. Are we going to fight for the title? Are we just going to fight for a top 4? But if we can manage to stay within, if we manage to stay, even if we're 9 points behind Inter by then, if we win, we make it down to 6, it's not too bad. It's really not too bad. And again, I do think that maybe they'll drop points against Milan. They might drop points against Atalanta. They could even drop points against Lazio. So we'll see. I don't expect them to drop points against Lazio. But we never know. We never know. Honestly, guys, it's difficult to say. I think Napoli, though, they need to beat Samp. They need to beat Bologna. They should be beating Salernitana. And then we've got Venezia. Venezia away from home will be difficult, but I'm sure we'll do well. Especially because we've got Inter Milan that same day, and yeah, we'll be motivated to do well. And as SJ is saying, sacrifice Coppa Italia, focus on League and Europa once our players are back. Yeah, I fully agree with that. I fully support that. Coppa Italia is one of those things that we've won 3 times in the last few years. I think even if we were to win a Coppa Italia this year, it wouldn't really feel like, oh, this is a good year. Not really. Europa League's different. It's a new tournament. It's European, different exposure, different prize money, different prestige. Very different thought process going on there with the Europa League. Coppa Italia, don't really care too much about it this year. So let's save some energy. And yeah, let's avoid congesting our schedule too much. This is just the round of 16. There's still a few games to go in that competition. Let's just skip it this year. Honestly, let's put in a 50% effort and call it a day in that one. I know it's not nice to say, but we're in an emergency situation at the moment. So that's the that's the thing, guys. We've got obviously, we can look at the stats of the game as well. It was a pretty averagely, average is not the right word, pretty balanced game. We had a bit more possession, but Juventus had a bit more shots. Both about 5-4 shots on target, same level of pass accuracy. We put in both the same level of intensity, 8 fouls versus 11. Maybe Napoli a bit more intense than Juventus. Same number of corners, more or less. Honestly, a draw is a fair result. We didn't have any other really, really, really good chances apart from the Dries Mertens goal. Neither did Juventus. Juventus had more chances, but none that you could say that's a huge, huge miss, the most important thing is that they're still 5 points behind. But yeah, Napoli need to get past this really bad run of form now. 1 win in the last 5. Not good enough. But I'm sure we'll pick this up in the next few weeks, guys. So that's that. I think that covers pretty much everything, guys. I will call it a day. Thank you so much for joining in. We've spoken for about 5 hours between the 2 lives today, so my throat is really dry at the moment. But glad that the stream didn't lag. I think I found the right settings now. And honestly, just relieved, guys. I'm not happy. I'm not, disappointed about the result. The number one feeling right now is relieved. I was doubting we could get a point out of this, and in fact, I thought maybe we were gonna lose quite badly. But the formation that we had in the first half was still strong. It was a formation that we could have easily started any game with, apart from maybe Gulam left back, but he showed that he's capable. And the subs in the second half were enough to keep us afloat. We didn't have a lot of options where we could experiment things and change the game, but enough to keep the game where it was. We live another day. Anyways, guys, hope you have a good night, and see you next time. And as always, Forza Napoli sempre.